When I was a kid, knocking on a neighbor's door to borrow a cup of sugar or an egg felt like second nature. And it was less about convenience and more about trust and connection. That simple act of sharing fostered a sense of security and belonging that turned your neighbor from a stranger to extended family. Today, that sense of connection feels like a distant memory. I find myself hesitating to reach out, and I suspect I'm not alone in that. Many of us live in neighborhoods where the ties that once bound us have frayed, and this growing disconnect really does leave the most vulnerable among us facing their struggles in isolation. But honestly, I'm guilty of contributing to this myself because as I get caught up in the everyday hustle and bustle of life, I find myself less intentional about reaching out and making new connections or even maintaining the ones that I already have. But when I read this book, What We Owe Each Other by Manoush Shafiq, I found myself captivated by this idea of an unseen social contract that binds us as a society. And it's my belief that if we're gonna progress as a collective, this contract needs to work for everyone, including a group often overlooked, children and families impacted by incarceration. Imagine being a child sitting at home trying to do your math homework, but your mind is everywhere but on the problem in front of you. You might be thinking, is my mom okay? Or will my dad make parole? Or does anyone even see what I'm going through? Well, for me, this wasn't just a thought experiment because it was my real life. Growing up with an incarcerated parent, I found that I struggled with my sense of self-worth and my identity. Anger was my primary emotion, but what I didn't know is, while I was angry, I was also hurt, confused, shocked, and embarrassed by my life. When I was just 8 years old, I remember a girl at school asking me, "Where's your dad?" And ashamed, I lied very quickly and told her he lived in Georgia. And truth be told, I had never even been to Georgia, but I just wanted to quickly get away from that question and my reality. Escaping my real life was a large part of how I dealt with my father's incarceration. And to that point, it had been 2 years since he went away. And I was very shocked at how my life had changed so drastically. To this point, it's been 26 years since he went away, and I'm still very confused about the cards that I've been dealt. Unfortunately, this is not just my story, because research tells us it's a shared experience of about 2.7 million children in the United States. That means about 1 in every 28 kids has a parent incarcerated. These children are bearing burdens that they shouldn't have to, dealing with stigma and tasked with really trying to navigate these heavy emotions. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, that's their cross to bear. But let me tell you, it's more yours than you may realize, because they're gonna take their hurt, their pain, their anger everywhere with them, into their classrooms, their homes, and their neighborhoods. And it's going to alter the fabric of your community. And when a child has a parent incarcerated, they are more likely to become incarcerated themselves relative to their peers who are not in that situation. And when a parent is pulled from the home, life tends to speed up for the entire family. This could look like going from 2 incomes to 1 or 1 income to none, putting the child in a position to have to work and choose possibly between school and making sure their siblings have food to eat. This is where I want you to think about the society that you would like to live in, the future you want for your own children. Because supporting a family impacted by incarceration is not a monumental task reserved for a select few. Rather, it is an opportunity for us all to play to our strengths and align them with the needs of others. In my own life, I had my mother who extended herself in every way possible to make sure we had a rich life. And she helped us cultivate our relationship with God. I had my Uncle Mario, who inspired me with his own ambitions and made me laugh with his antics. Many mornings he would say to me, "Pop, in the morning? Girl." Because I would often want to drink a Tahitian treat with my breakfast. I also had my Nana, who never went or goes a day without telling me how proud she is of me. My friend Venus, who shared her family with me, and they became my family. Her mom often opened their home to us in the morning so my mom could make it to work on time. I also had my friend Emily, who shared her family with me, and I even got to go to my first Cardinals game with them. In high school, I had programs like Right and Must that really gave me the opportunity to explore my interests and my strengths in life. With these people, programs, and some others, I was really able to see beyond my circumstances and set a standard for my life. A healthy society is a lot like a well-functioning body where every muscle, organ, and even the smallest pinky toe plays a role in its ability to thrive. And when one part is affected, the entire system is at risk. Similarly, when we ignore the struggles of children and families impacted by incarceration, we are putting our communities at risk. But let me assure you that progress is not an overnight thing, and it really is in the small, gentle efforts that will make the difference. That can look like, if you have the time, offering to do pickup and drop off for a family that can use an extra set of hands in the morning and the afternoon. And maybe if you don't have the time, but you have the resources, you can sow into a family to make sure that they not only have their basic needs, but give their children the opportunity to explore extracurricular activities. The final thing I want to leave you thinking about is that many social justice initiatives focus on prison reform, right? That might look like addressing harsh sentencing, rehabilitation for the incarcerated person, or looking at systemic racism. All good work, for sure, but prison reform is incomplete without a parallel commitment to acknowledging and supporting the families left behind. Because while the incarcerated person faces a physical prison with bars that you can see, their family left behind faces a figurative one with bars you can't see, but I assure you it's just as confining. So maybe you're sitting there like, okay, maybe I do need help. This seems like a good effort. Okay, I would suggest that you ask the family what they need, because nobody will know what they need better than them. And then some other action items I want to leave you with are just to continue to do your research, right? And once you've read up on it and educated yourself, educate your network. This way you all can come together and figure out how you can strengthen your communities. You can also partner with local organizations that are already doing the work to make sure that the resources that are available to these families are also accessible to them. You could host a letter writing campaign which will empower the kids to advocate to their local legislators in an effort to influence policy that will support their needs. And finally, you can offer them hope through your kindness. Just let them know that you see them, because it's going to be very important for our communities that we give these families the opportunity to thrive and not just survive. Thank you.